Okay, Mr. Heschel, we're ready to go.
Yeah. So we'll begin in 60 seconds.
Okay, Mr. Heschel, we're ready to go.
Come on.
So we'll begin in 60 seconds.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. We're going down.
Over the house. What?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
New Year.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
I wish everyone a wonderful new year, new beginnings, healthy beginnings, a year of success, a year where we can all continue as one big family to do the outstanding work that we do with the Community Action Board. We have a lot of recognition of new appointees, which is wonderful work. I'm the part of DYCD in conjunction with New York City's mayor's office. So I'm very pleased to see that. Before we begin, I'll ask our incredibly talented secretary, Susie Tenenbaum, to be so kind and do the roll call.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, Mr. Chairperson. I'm just waiting for this fire engine to go by, and I will begin calling the roll. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Happy
Good
New
evening.
Year.
Happy
We are
New Year.
about to call the roll for our CAB full board meeting. When I call your name, I ask that you let me know that you're present. And if I mispronounce your name, I ask you to correct me. From the office, okay, all right. From the Office of City Council, Speaker Adrian Adams, Tyrell Hankerson, and Lynette Shelbourne Barfield. Okay. From the Office of the Mayor, Eric Adams, his Community Affairs Unit, Valerie Vasquez.
Here. Thank you.
Good evening, Valerie.
Good evening.
Nice to meet you. From the Office of Assembly Member Jeffrey and Aubrey, Louise Emanuel. Please. From the Office of Assembly Member Brian Benjamin, Debbie Lewis. From Boricua College, Moises Pereira and Ismael Sanchez. From region number 14, Brooklyn NDA 11, 13, and 15, Victoria Camarota Puerto.
Present.
Good evening, Victoria. From the office, from region 16, Queens NDA 1, 8, and 9, Claudia Koger.
Present.
Good evening, Claudia. From region number 4, Bronx NDA 7 and 8, Yesenia Cardona.
Good evening, present.
Good evening, Yesenia. From region number 2, Bronx NDA 3 and 4, Cynthia Cox. Okay. NAB Chairperson Representative, Manhattan and Staten Island, Ileana De La Rosa.
Present.
Good evening, Eliana.
Good evening.
From the office of Staten Island Borough President Vito J. Fasella, is there a representative? Okay, from Doc Go Incorporated, our second vice chairperson, Gregory Hambrick.
Here.
Oh, good evening, Greg.
Present in person.
Present in person. From the office of Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, Nelson Palacios, and Angel Gowd Jr.
Angel Gowd is present for the Borough President's office.
Good
Thank you.
evening, Angel. Thank you. From Region 11, Brooklyn NDA 7, 10, and 12, our chairperson, Isaac Heschel. You are present.
I am present,
Good
yes.
evening, chairperson. From the office of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, Marielle Ali.
Present.
Good evening, Marielle. From region number 15, Brooklyn NDA 14 and 17, Parliamentarian Rhonda Joseph.
She's
Oh, she is
excused.
excused.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, Anita.
You're welcome.
From region 12, Brooklyn NDA 3, 8, and 9, Wayne King.
Present.
Good evening, Wayne.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. From
You're welcome.
region 17, Queens 3, 4, and 7, Paul Mai.
Present. Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Paul. From the office of New York City Council Member Christopher Marte, is there a representative? From Morris Heights Health Center, Gideon Dunkley.
He's excused. He had another meeting.
Oh, okay. From Neighborhood Housing Services of Staten Island, Joseph Pierre.
Yes, here.
Good evening, Joseph.
Good afternoon.
From Region 10, Brooklyn 1, 2, and 4, Clavis Pena. I know she's present.
She's here.
You
Okay,
see her.
well,
she's
welcome,
muted.
Clavis. Okay. From the office of State Senator Roxanne Persaud, I believe we have a representative.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Sandy from the office of Senator Roxanne Prasad. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you
Say
for
hello to
coming.
Roxanne for me.
Okay, I will.
Uh-huh.
From the office of Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, Donovan Swanson.
Present.
Good evening, Donovan. From the office of Queensborough President Donovan Richards, Secretary Susie Tannenbaum, that is me, that is I am present. From Region 8, no, Manhattan 9 and 12, Jackie Rowe Adams is excused. From the office of New York City Council Member Althea Stevens, Caitlin Connolly.
Present.
Good evening, Caitlin. From the office of St. Francis College, Robert Oliva and Tiarani Street. No. From the office of New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, Stephanie Kampanha Wheaton.
Campagna, Stephanie Wheaton is fine.
Campagna, thank you. Apologies.
No problem.
From Region 9, Manhattan 10 and 11, Derek Tate.
Present.
Good evening, Derek.
Good evening.
From Region 13, Brooklyn NDA 5 and 16, Christopher Toomer.
Present.
Good evening, Christopher. From the office of New York City Council Member Sandra Ong, Shane Miller and Jin Wu.
Shane Wu is an alternate, but Shane Miller's here. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. From UJA Federation of Jewish Philanthropy, our third vice chairperson, Ariel Savransky.
Present.
Good evening, Ariel. From United Neighborhood Houses, Nora Moran or Tara Klein. From UPS, Janet Lugos and Brian Clark.
Janet's here. Good
Good
evening,
evening,
everyone.
Janet. Thank you. From Region 19, Staten Island 1, our first Vice Chairperson, Linda Walters.
Present.
Good evening, Linda. From Region 7, Bronx 9, Justin Westbrook Lowry. And from the Office of the New York City Public Advocate, Jumani Williams, Elizabeth Kennedy.
Good evening, present.
Good evening, Elizabeth. And that is our roll. Thank you, everyone.
We have quorum.
Excellent.
Chairman.
Susie, as always, outstanding. Thank you very much. We begin with board correspondence. It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome Valerie Vasquez, the Deputy Commissioner of External Affairs from the Community Affairs Unit. A letter from the mayor. I hereby designate you, meaning Miss Vasquez, to represent me in my role as elected public official member of the New York City Community Board. Thank you for assuming this responsibility. Sincerely, Eric Adams. I will entertain a motion to accept Deputy Commissioner Vasquez as a member of the CAB.
So moved, Joseph Pierre.
Second, Linda.
Second by Linda. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to briefly address the CAB?
No, I look forward to working with you all. Like you said, I'm Valerie Vasquez, Deputy Commissioner for the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. It's my honor to be a part of this board, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
We appreciate having you aboard. Fred Kreisman is
He's amazing.
he's amazing. I know him a long time when he worked originally in public service, and then he went into the private sector. And I admire the fact that he gave up so much to go back to the public sector.
So
to do
true.
incredible work that he does.
Yep, it speaks to his character and his commitment to the city of New York. So I thank him too.
So it's a pleasure to have you with us. Celebes Pena.
Yes, hi. How is
Hi.
everyone? This is my first time. I'm a little nervous, but
There's nothing to be nervous about. It's a pleasure to have you. We have to now officially recognize you and vote to accept you as the representative for Region 10, NDA Brooklyn 1, 2, and 4. I will entertain a motion to accept Celebes Pena as a member of the CAB. Motion to accept.
Linda, motion to accept.
Linda, thank you. Seconded by
Joseph Pierre.
Joseph, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Welcome aboard, and if you would like to say a few short words, it would be a pleasure to hear from you.
I would like to say that Anita called and there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. So I hope that I show up for her fine, just like she thought I would.
You do, always do, Clarice.
Thank
Well,
you.
we all answer to Anita, so there's nothing to be nervous about because you're just like the rest of us.
I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will now recognize a group of mayoral appointees to the CAB. Assembly member Jeffrey and Al Aubrey, Assembly Member Brian A. Cunningham, Council Member Christopher Marty, Senator Roxanne J. Prasad, Council Member Althea Stevens, Council Member Sandra Unga. Since they're all mayoral appointees, I'm just going to read one letter, and it's basically the same letter for all these representatives. Pursuant to the authority granted to me as mayor and chief elected officer of the city of New York by the Community Services Block Grant and by the bylaws of the City of New York Community Action Board, I hereby reappoint you as elected public official member of the New York City Community Action Board. Your term on CAB will be concurrent with your current term in public office. Your continued service on CAB will help to bring critical resources to local communities while helping develop the programs and tools necessary to fight poverty across the city of New York. Sincerely, Eric Adams, Mayor. I will now entertain a motion to accept these mayoral appointees to the CAB. Motion to accept.
So move. Joseph Pierre.
Joseph Pierre, seconded by
Seconded by Donovan Swanson.
Donovan. Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. The representative for Assembly Member Jeffrey and L. Aubrey, if you would be so kind and say a few words, we would appreciate it. Anita, someone there?
Louise Emanuel.
No, okay. For Assembly Member Brian A. Cunningham's office. Council Member Christopher Marte's office. I know we have a representative for Senator Roxanne J. Prasad. Sandy?
You're muted.
You're on mute.
There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Sandy, and it's indeed my pleasure to represent State Senator Roxanne Prasad. I look forward to working with everyone here for the betterment of the people across the great state of New York. So thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Council Member Althea Stevens' office.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Sorry for any background noise. We're actually having an event at the same time, but our office is just so excited to be part of this community and have a chance to talk and plan and work with all of you. As a show of youth services, this is an area of great passion for the council member, and I hope to represent her well in that space. And looking forward to getting to know each and all of you much better.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Welcome aboard. Council Member Sandra Ung's office.
Good evening, everyone. In case you don't know much about the council member, she represents Flushing and Northeast Queens. Our office is very, very honored to be taking part in this. I look forward to meeting you all and working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you on board. Recognition of Tyrell Hankerson, Deputy Chief of Staff as Representative, and Lynette Shelbourne Barfield, District Director as alternate for Council Speaker Adrian E. Adams. I will entertain a motion to accept Tyrell Hankerson or his alternate. Motion to accept.
So moved, Marielle.
Marielle, thank you. Seconded by
Joseph
Linda.
Pierre.
Linda. Thank you for the second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We will now recognize Stephanie Campana Wheaton as the representative for Controller Brad Lander's office. Quickly, we'll read the letter. Commissioner Keith Howard, dear Mr. Howard, I write to appoint Stephanie Campana Wheaton as my representative on the CAB, part of the Department of Youth and Community Development. Stephanie has a deep interest in the work of the board and will be a great resource and asset. Please list Stephanie as my representative and ensure that she receives all board material. Sincerely, Brad Landers, New York City Controller. We'll now entertain a motion to accept Stephanie as a member of the CAB. Motion to accept.
So move. Joseph Pierre.
Joseph Pierre, thank you. Seconded by
Ileana De La Rosa, seconds.
Ileana, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. Stephanie, would you like to address the CAB?
Just thank you so much, everyone, for being so welcoming. Really looking forward to getting to work with all of you.
Pleasure to have you. Welcome aboard. Thank you. We would now like to recognize Debbie E. Lewis, Chief of Staff, as representative for Assembly Member Brian A. Cunningham. Motion to accept Debbie E. Lewis.
So move. Joseph Pierre.
Pierre, thank you. Seconded by?
Seconded, Shane Miller.
Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We would now like to recognize Nelson Palacios, and if I pronounce it wrong, my apologies. Education and Youth Service Director as representative, and Angel Gale Jr., Deputy Director as alternate for the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. Motion to accept Nelson or Angel.
Motion to accept.
Susie, thank you. Seconded by?
Seconded by Donovan Swanson.
Donovan, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We'd now like to recognize Kathleen Connolly, Chief of Staff, as representative for Councilman Member Althea Stevens. Motion to accept. Joseph Pierre, thank you. Seconded by?
Derek Tate.
Derek, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We'd now like to recognize Shane Miller, Communications Director, as representative, and what is it? Zinwu? How do we pronounce that, Anita?
Shinwu.
Shinwu, my apologies. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
To represent for this, and budget director as who's the budget director as an alternate for council member Sandra Allen. Motion to accept.
So move. Joseph.
Seconded by
Donovan Swanson.
Donovan. Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Letter to accept Congregation B'nai Abraham Chasidei Kapichnans as a member of the CAB private sector and to recognize Isaac Heschel as its representative. A letter is addressed to Anita. Dear Miss Antoinetti, on behalf of Congregation B'nai Abraham, I am writing to you to express our interest in joining the New York City Community Action Board. Congregation B'nai Abraham is a faith-based organization that was founded in 1964. We have a proud reputation of assisting our community. Some of our programs deal with helping youths from broken homes, widows, and orphans as they try to cope with the devastating loss of their loved ones, families with special needs children, and families coping with terminally ill family members. We also provide financial assistance to impoverished families to help them try to make ends meet. Isaac M. Heschel, who's been leading this organization for over 20 years, would be an ideal candidate to represent us and would certainly continue to be a valuable asset to your prestigious board. Sincerely, Moshe Heschel, Executive Vice President. Will now entertain a motion to accept Isaac M. Heschel as the representative for the Congregation B'nai Abraham. Motion to accept.
Except by Linda. Oh, sorry.
Linda, thank you. Seconded by
Joseph.
Joseph, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. Moving on. The board had in their packet the minutes of the previous CAB meeting, which was September 8th. Is that correct?
2023, sorry. No, 22, right. That is the correct date. It was 2022, September.
No, but it was September 8th. We didn't have one
Yeah.
later.
No, it was September 8th so that we could get ahead of the holidays.
Oh, okay, good. Just,
Check.
I
Right.
just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to accept the minutes for that meeting.
I so moved with that meeting.
Okay, JP.
Joseph.
Joseph, thank you for the motion. Seconded by
Seconded by Donovan Swanson.
Donovan, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Commissioners report. It's my pleasure to ask Associate Commissioner Ron Zhang to present.
There's been a change. Deputy Commissioner Mike Bobbitt is going to give the report.
I think we can deal with that.
Okay, good.
Mike, it's a pleasure to hear from you. We look forward to the report.
It's a pleasure to be recognized. Thank you for your forbearance. Ron is here, but I'm here as well. So
We
thank
missed
you.
you, Mike. We haven't heard you for a couple of meetings now, and it's a pleasure to hear from you.
It's good to see you and talk to you. I will strive to be brief because we have a busy meeting ahead. But thank you again, and both happy New Year for 2023 and happy Lunar New Year. I was in a meeting with the discretionary team earlier and recognizing that this is the year of the rabbit, which I understand stands for peace and prosperity. So let's hope for peace and prosperity for all. The 2022 Community Needs Assessment officially ended on December 31st, 2022, and we dramatically surpassed the 13,000 surveys collected in 2019. The preliminary number is 24,076 usable responses collected, but that number doesn't include the remaining paper surveys, of which there are about another 2,000 that were collected through the first 2 weeks of January. We've transmitted those to the vendor that's collating all this information. And now the information will be analyzed and hopefully a report will be ready for the next CAB meeting. So I want to ask you to give yourselves and all the NAB members a round of applause, because that is the best that I understand we've ever done. Neighborhood development areas RFP update. A reminder, the new NDA programs are underway as of July of 2022, as there were some non-viable proposals or no proposals received in some of the NDAs. We reissued 5 of the 8 RFPs in an effort to allocate funds to the new NDAs. Newly awarded programs have a start date of January 16. So we look forward to giving you an update about that at the next CAB meeting as well. In terms of literacy and immigrant services, we have an update there as well. As this group knows, the literacy concept paper was released, and we also held listening sessions for the literacy concept paper. Those were on January 12th, 13th, and 23. I know some members of the CAB and the NAB attended those sessions. DYC looks forward to reviewing the feedback from various stakeholders concerning our new proposed approaches, and feedback may be received through tomorrow, through January 27th. So you still have a chance. Right? Building bridges. DYCD, in an effort to support small and emerging nonprofit organizations in seeking and applying for New York City funds, has held several informational sessions, including 2, one just last week and coming up this next week. On January 24th, in this very room where we're meeting, we held a session focused on our faith-based organizations around the city. And we'll have another such meeting on January 31st with a special appeal, to Islamic faith-based organizations. The meetings provide information on the city's passport systems, New York City Council discretionary awards, and the management of nonprofit boards and volunteers, and of course, NAB and funding opportunities. So next I want to talk about municipal transitions. As you know, and reflecting from earlier in the meeting, all of the mayoral appointees have been made to the CAB and most of the representatives have been recognized. So I'm gonna do one more quick thank you to yourselves. And thank you to the new CAB members, also our colleagues in external affairs for liaising with City Hall so they could be present this evening. And I do look forward, and I wanted to be here for many reasons, but one is I wanted to recognize those new CAB members. We've worked well with their offices. I have been out in the field already. I don't know if Valerie Vasquez will remember this, but I joined her and several colleagues. We went up to one of the mosques in the Bronx as we initiate some of our public safety work. So I want to recognize her especially for that. And knowing from that, I know you have some roll up sleeves kind of folks on this board right now. We look forward to continuing to work with them. You want to single someone up? Oh, yes. Okay. So I recognize Sarah Marks. Thank you, External Affairs, for your efforts to bring us to this evening. Some may recall under the prior administration, legal services contracts were transferred to the city's Human Resources Administration. DYCD is happy to be welcoming back the Immigrant Legal Services portfolio, which for the past several years have been managed by HRA's Office of Civil Justice. A reminder, these contracts cover services for immigrants, immigrant youth, immigrant workers, and victims of domestic violence and trafficking. Our Literacy and Immigrant Services Unit is scheduling a meeting with these providers in March to smooth the onboarding process and welcome them back in July. As you may know, the oversight of the contracts for the Office of Neighborhood Safety Initiatives, or ONS, has been moved from the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to DYCD. These programs include the Mayor's Action Plan for Neighborhood Safety, or MAP, and the Office to Prevent Gun Violence. The acronym for that is OPGV, as well as Atlas and Precision Employment. We've begun meeting with our new colleagues, and some of the programs supported by ONS, such as the God Squad, Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save. I want to recognize Jackie Rowe Adams for that one again. And we will continue to meet with those organizations and those staff as part of the onboarding process. Already DYC is getting involved, taking a lead role, planning a series of youth town hall conversations about public safety. And we look forward to sharing further developments at subsequent CAB meetings. So I'll close by talking about the unit, the NAB-CAB Liaison Unit. The staff is working to increase the total number of NAB members as the pandemic has unfortunately taken a toll on its membership. Staff has presented and tabled at various DYCD events and external events, such as with groups of newly elected officials, capacity building workshops, discretionary provider workshops like the building bridges events I just mentioned, the Interagency Coordinating Council and Youth, Public Advocates Community Engagement Workshop, and more. We are happy to report that the vacancies resulting from the prior departures of Candace and Lisa have been filled, and we now have 2 new CAB/NAB liaisons. So staring me in the face right there is Stuart Davis, and right there is Lily Dasgupta, and they joined the staff in November and December. Stuart comes from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where he did very similar work as a community health educator during the height of the pandemic. And Lily comes to us with great experience and insight, as she just served as the chairperson of NAB Brooklyn 14 and was a NAB member for almost 5 years. So let's welcome Stuart and Lily. And I'll close with this. Also with the unit for the past 10 weeks were Elfrida Thompson and Mark Gadzik. And Mark is with us as well. So we're going to give Mark some flowers too, right? They both helped us as temporary workers hired to assist us with the CNA outreach, and they did a marvelous job. Elfrida and Mark made presentations, had surveys completed, and they helped us target the department's aging older adult centers. So folks that may not have felt safe and comfortable coming to public hearings, we wanted to hear from them. And so if you can't come to us, we'll go to you. And that's one of the things that Elfrida and Mark really helped us do and contributed significantly to adding all the surveys that I just mentioned. They also came up with a bunch of innovative ideas we want to carry forward, like surveying workers at a nearby mall, going to community organizations that don't receive funding from DYCD, but we want to hear from as well. Then they were wrapping up their term of service with us, helping us do outreach on NAB membership. Unfortunately, their time with us is at an end in a week, 2 weeks, in a week? Next week, all right. But before they leave, as I say, give them their flowers. And also thanks to Elfrida and Mark. And that concludes the commissioner's report. Are there any questions?
I have a question, a very quick one.
Yes, Susie.
Sorry, I'm trying to lower my hand. Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner, and Happy New Year to you. A very quick question. You mentioned that there's going to be an info session this Monday specifically for Islamic faith-based organizations. Can anyone put that in the chat, the link?
Yes.
I mean, is it still possible to RSVP?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the 31st in the auditorium from 6 to 8 p.m. Jermaine is taking care of it. Thank you. Thanks for flagging.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. People are racing to put in the chat, right? Yeah.
Any further questions for the Deputy Commissioner?
No further questions. I thank you again. I'm really excited about our continued work and integrating the work of the Office of Neighborhood Services. So I think this is going to be a really impactful year for DYCD.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you as always. As you said, it should be a wonderful new year and a wonderful Lunar New Year. And with people like yourself, so deeply involved with DYCD, it's going to be a successful year for everyone. So thank you very much, Mike. I will now entertain a motion to accept the commissioner's report. Motion,
to accept by Ariel.
Ariel, thank you. Seconded by
Derek,
Derek, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. I will now ask the talented artist San Mugen, the Senior Budget Director for the Community Development and Grants Management, to present the Financial Program Quarterly Report. Artist?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good evening to all and Happy New Year. I will share my screen or folks can follow along in the paper report that Anita and her team sent out. Can folks see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it big enough for you to read, or should
Perfect.
Okay,
You
great.
can pinch it, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good evening again, and thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to also welcome the new members who are filling the shoes of amazing folks who have left. I'm going to give you an overview of the CSBG budget within DYCD. For city fiscal year 23, which is July 22 to June 23, the CSBG's budget is $36.2 million. And DYCD allocates this funding into three major buckets. 80% of the award is in the program contracts. That's where providers do, our CBOs provide direct services in the communities on DYCD's behalf. The next bucket is other contractual services, and items in this section support the direct services in the program contracts. And finally, we have personal services. This is the pot of money that's is part of the DYCD personal services and pays for some of my salary and all the other DYCD folks that you see here tonight. So of the $36.2 million, as I mentioned, 80% is in the program contracts. This is our biggest area, and it comes in at about $29 million. Of that, $16 million is in the neighborhood development group of programs. We have 7 programs that's in that area. We have programs for seniors. We have 2 immigration programs. We have an adult literacy program. We also have a healthy family program, and we have 2 new programs, economic development program and safety and crime awareness programs. That totals, as I said, $28.9 million, and it takes up the bulk of the CSBG funds. In terms of spending for this program, the program contracts category, expenses to date are $9.4 million, which represents 32% of the budget. One might imagine that at this time of the year, which is more than half, we're more than halfway along in the city fiscal year 23, we should have higher expenses. And we would have higher expenses, but one of the main reasons why we do not is, as most of you may know, we started a new contract, a new 3-year contract in the NDA group that started on July 1st. As it's normal in the first year of an RFP, providers are getting up and running. Things happen a little slower than it would in a year where the contract has already started. So that's one of the reasons why expenses at this point is only 32% versus closer to 50%. The payments are $14.3 million, and you can see it's significantly more than the expenses, and you might wonder why. And the reason is that DYCD has a policy where we grant our providers an advance at the start of the city fiscal year that represents 25% of their budget. This helps them to get going, to hire staff if need be, pay rent, and so on and so forth, before they're required to submit an invoice for their expenses. DYCD starts to recoup these advances starting in the month of January, and by the time we get to the end of the year, expenses and payments will match. They'll be exactly the same because we would have recouped the advance by then. Moving on to the other contractual services. As I said before, these items that we're purchasing here supports the direct services that our CBOs are providing. The biggest pot of money in the technical assistance category at $1.6 million. That represents 75% of the other contractual services budget. And year to date, we have expenses of $180,000. And that's 11% of the technical assistance budget. Other areas that we have spending in so far are fiscal agent services, marketing and public awareness at $5,300. The next higher one is our technology budget at $7,000. And we have a few stragglers coming in, employee development and recruitment at $600, stipend so far at $975, and spending on for development so far is $350,000, for a total expense in this category of close to $200,000. Again, this may look pretty low for this time of the year, but this is very normal for way expenses in this category comes in. Personnel services to date are 24% of the budget at $1.2 million. And you'll notice that for the other contractual services and personal services, total expenses and total payments are the same. And especially with the other contractual services, DYCD does not provide an advance to the vendors in those categories, only to the CBOs in the program contracts category. So overall, for our $36.2 million budget, we have expenses that matches 30% of the award. We have payments that matches 43% of the award, and we had a balance of $20.4 million left to be vouchered. I'm going to now do a comparison of where we were compared to the last meeting, which was on September 8th. At that point in time, we had expenses only on one category, which was the program contracts, which came in at $289,000. And you can see there's a much higher expenses at this point in time, which is evidence, I'd say, of how we expect the rest of the year to go. We expect that the CSBG portfolio will have a spending rate in the area of 96 to 98%. So this extremely increased spending is evidence of that. Our other contractual services, we had no expenses at that time, and now we have the $196,000. And as well, personal services, no expenses at that time, but now we have $1.2 million. That's my report. I am happy to answer questions that Susie and the rest of the folks will have.
Hi, this is Gideon Dunkley. I have a question.
Please.
First of all, I'm traveling. I'm in transit, and I just got on. Thank you, artists, for your excellent report. But I have one question, actually two questions. The first one is, how do you recoup the money? And the second one, is the program being audited? And if yes, is there an audit report that you can share with the CAB?
Those are really great questions, Gideon. Thank you for asking. The first question, how does DYCD recoup the advances? So a provider, let's say provider A, submits an invoice every month to DYCD for expenses that they have incurred. When they submit those invoices from July through December, DYCD pays them 100% of that invoice. However, when they submit invoices from January through June, DYCD pays them a less amount than the invoice. So if they submitted an invoice in January for $10,000, we would recoup, I'm not sure exactly the percentage, our accounts payable folks do that, but we would pay them less than the $10,000. And we would do that from January through June, and that's how we recoup the expenses. The second question, are these programs audited? Yes, they're audited in two ways. DYCD has a contract with an auditor, and that's in this line here, the fiscal field review. The budget for that in 2023 is $193,500. We engage with a vendor to do fiscal field reviews, meaning they have the list of the DYCD providers. They go to their offices, request documents, and do a sort of a desk review to ensure that they're following the rules and regulations of DYCD. The second audit, actually three different kinds of audit. The second audit happens from the Department of State. Every time DYCD submits a claim, and we submit 4 claims a year, the state requests details of our expenses down to the contractual level and on the monthly level. So we would send them what folks would know as a general ledger with those kinds of details. They select random CBOs which they then audit. They reach out through DYCD and ask for certain documentation to prove that the expenses that they've submitted to DYCD are accurate, they are following the rules and regulations of CSBG. The third audit is the single audit, and DYCD, so single audits, generally the city single audit does not audit the same funding source every year. So last year CSBG was audited, and at the last meeting we read the auditor's report, which was accepted by the board. But basically the city hires an auditor for all city agencies, and that auditor would select certain grants in every city agency every year. DYCD only has 2 major grants, so CSBG is audited every other year. And again, we give them the general ledger for all the claims we've submitted to the state. They then request information. They then sample categories in each of these. They sample providers' data, they sample vendors' data in other contractual services, and they also sample data for the DYCD personal services. So that happens generally for CSBG every other year. I'm sorry, what was your third question?
Do they provide a consolidated report at year end?
Okay, so
that can be shared with the board, so we know exactly, what are the assets, the liabilities, and what are the revenue and expenses, and whether or not the report is qualified or unqualified.
So, are you asking about an audit of each individual CBO, or so the fiscal field review?
I would imagine, since the funds are coming from DYCD and being allocated to different programs, that there would be at least one consolidated audit report that would cover the aggregate of the entire program.
Yeah. So the fiscal field review, which is more like a desk audit, it's not as in-depth an audit as the Department of State or the city single audit would provide. We have a unit here, an audit unit called the Audit and Internal Review Group. They are the ones who have those reports, and we can certainly get that to you if you need. We have shared with the board the report from the single audit from last year, and we can share that again if you need. Absolutely, we can. That will it wouldn't be information on each individual provider. It'll be an analysis saying we selected and audited X number of providers, and these are the findings we had. If there were any findings, these are the things that we can concur that they were following the rules and regulations of the bank and so on. I'm sorry, of the state funding.
Yeah, and it also shows the source and uses of the funds, basically.
That single audit wouldn't go into great detail on that, but our individual fiscal field reviews may. But I will speak to the head of our audit unit, and you guys have met Bill Kamen. He's the one who coordinates with our auditors. I will have a conversation with him tomorrow about any potential reports that he can share with the board.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Gideon. That was a very, very interesting question.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for those very interesting questions.
Thank you, Gideon. And as always, thank you, Artis, for the excellent report.
You are very welcome.
How articulate and how well represented it is. So thank you very much for it. I will now entertain a motion to accept the financial program quarterly report. Motion to accept.
So move, Gideon Dunkley.
I'm going to also try and unshare my screen.
Gideon.
I'm going to second it, Susie Tenenbaum. I owe you a question, Artis.
Thank you for the second.
Please, Susie.
No, thank you for the comprehensive.
Now it's we're middle of the motion, so you'll have to hold for a minute, please.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I think he froze.
Let me see. Right.
I know I said aye.
Susie,
Might be muted.
Susie, you had a question?
No, not at all. No. I said I owe Artis a question. but
Okay,
I
I'll
appreciate
expect two
the
questions from you next
comprehensive
time.
report.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening all. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I just want to let
yeah.
our secretary, Susie, know that we had two more people come in, Gideon Dunkley, of course, and Lynette Shelburne Field
Yes.
for Adrian Adams.
Right. Thank you.
Excellent. Moving along, the executive committee on January 26th at 6:15. We reviewed the CAB full agenda. We reviewed the committee reports, and which we'll vote on each one of them separately in a moment. And the meeting lasted till 6:37 p.m. when it was adjourned. I will now ask our first vice chair, Linda Walters, to be so kind.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I
Oh.
can hear.
Right.
Okay,
I hear you.
okay, great. The committee met on Wednesday, January 18th, and the minutes are in the board packet. CAB vacancies at the time of this meeting. Public sector, there were 2 vacancies. Low income sector, there are 4 vacancies for regional representatives. All are in the process of a candidate search. A candidate search will begin for NAB chairperson representative in Brooklyn and the Bronx / Queens once the NAB completes the process of electing officers. Sorry. CAB attendance. There was only 1 excused absence as of the November 17, 2022 meeting. CAB officers. Terms for all CAB officers will end after the June 22nd, 2023 meeting. Today, the committee is asking board members to consider running for a position and to submit nominations. A description of each officer and responsibilities was sent to members earlier today. Nominations may be sent to staff ahead of the April 2023 meeting. The governance committee will submit a slate of candidates at the April 20 meeting. At the June 20, 2022-23 meeting, the slate and nominations from the floor will be presented so that the full board will vote for officers. Anita, you wanted to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I don't. You said everything. It's great.
Okay. New business or low-income sector members will receive a reminder of their individual term of office. Any questions, anyone?
Nope.
Okay, that concluded my report.
Linda, as always, thank you so much.
You're
Not
welcome.
only for the report, but for the outstanding work you do for the board and in general for the people of the city of New York.
You're
So,
welcome.
thank you, Linda. We'll now entertain a motion to accept the governance committee report. Motion to accept.
So moved, Gideon Dunkley.
Gideon Dunkley, thank you. Seconded by?
Donovan Swanson.
Donovan, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays?
Aye.
Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you. We'll now ask the Honorable Mr. Greg Hambrick, the second vice chair, to present the program committee report. Greg?
1 second, we're looking for his report.
I have it here,
You
so
have
I'm
it?
good.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it off the phone. All right, good evening, everyone. Good to see you, Mr. Chair, and all the board members. I count myself lucky because I got the entire wonderful staff of the DYC board here. DYC staff all to myself. But on a serious note, it's good to see everyone here. It's been close to 3 years since I've seen everyone here. So this was certainly a treat for me. So the program committee met on January 11th. It was an exciting meeting. Scott Leach, who we all know is the director of the Fatherhood Program, had 2 guests present at the meeting. One was Reginald Mitchell from Rising Ground, and the other was Vernon Wooten, who is the senior case manager at UAA Fatherhood Matters program. So it was a very compelling discussion about non-custodial fathers age 18 and over and the services that both these programs do to help them stay connected to not only the services, but to be able to provide for their children. They went over a variety of structured preparation of those programs, everything from parenting skills to child support, education, visitation rights, economic support, and so forth. The conversation really pivoted. This was the meeting could actually went an hour longer. It really pivoted because there was talk of not only these programs to help these non-custodial fathers, but not forgetting them, like the ongoing support that they need, especially in the days and times that we're living in and some challenging economic climates, as well as the, sort of post-pandemic period of time that we're dealing with. So was a great conversation, and everyone left with, really wanting to learn more about these programs. So certainly enjoyed it myself. One piece of information, Vernon Wooten, if you've ever witnessed the barbershop talks, which we all know Mike Bobbitt has promoted that quite heavily. I've joined those talks on occasion and was a guest speaker in there. There's a nice little intro song to that barbershop talk. And the first time I was a guest was the first time that I heard it. Vernon Wooten was the one who created that intro song. So that was certainly a treat. The meeting ended at, there wasn't any old business or new business, and the meeting ended at 7:19. So that's it. Any questions from anyone regarding that meeting?
Greg, as always, good seeing you. Thank you for the outstanding report and the great.
Davis has a question.
I have a question.
Sure.
The Honorable Greg, since you are honorable, I want to know if it's possible if you could arrange for each board member to get a proclamation from the City Council for all the people who have served on the CAB. Honorable Greg Hambrick.
So talk about putting somebody on the spot with a request like that. I will duly note it. I will look into that for you. Thank you.
That wasn't really a question. That was more like a request.
Yeah, that was a huge request, not one that I can engage in.
Well, you said he's Honorable Greg Hambrick, so I just want to know. I didn't know that he was elected, but since he's elected, he might as well just reach out and advocate on our behalf to speak to the City Council, see if each CAB member who have served this city of New York with such honor and distinction, if it is possible for him to get us a proclamation, as a token of appreciation, basically.
I have a question, if you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was at the meeting. I was kicked out at 7, which I'm surprised I haven't gotten kicked out today. I was at the meeting. I enjoyed it. I was amazed. I was talking to my sister. She's the school principal in Queens, and she wants me to get her some information about the fatherhood program because she's got like an overflow of fathers that are single fathers or that are going through. And I was like, I didn't even know about this program. This is amazing. And she goes, please get me some information. So
Okay.
how can I get some information to me so I can get it to her?
We'll have either Director Scott Leach or his program manager, Allison,
Reach out to me.
reach out to you. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I'm making all the notes, Clarice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to accept the program committee report. Motion to accept.
So moved, Gideon Dunkley.
The Honorable Gideon Dunkley has
You're kidding me. But thank you
seconded
so much.
by-
Thank you for that
seconded-
excellent report, Greg. Honorary.
second by
Ileana De La Rosa, seconds.
Eliana. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Ariel, I would call you honorable, but it seems that, they might ask things of you that, you might not be capable of doing or want to do. So I will ask the very talented and renowned Ariel Savransky, who's the third vice chair, to give this strategic partnership report.
Thank you for that introduction. My report is going to be very short because we've spoken about most of what we discussed at the meeting already, and we're going to have a presentation from someone who's going to talk about SYAP following my presentation. So I will not go into detail there. I'll let her give more detail when she gives her presentation. So we met on Thursday, January 12th. Again, we talked about the Summer Youth Employment Program. We talked about NAB membership and recruitment. I know we have already discussed that at this meeting, but I just want to say that I think it's great how much work DYCD and the intergovernmental team have done to really make sure that vacancies are filled. And I think the beginning of this meeting really showed that they're doing an amazing job. So thank you for that. And then Commissioner Bobbitt, or Deputy Commissioner Bobbitt, already talked about the community needs assessment. Again, thank you to everyone who disseminated it, who filled it out, who did any work to make sure that others filled it out. I think it's really commendable that we had over 24,000 responses. So all good news. And that wraps up the presentation.
Ariel, thank you for the excellent and short to the point report. Well, any questions for Ariel?
I don't have a question per se, a comment, since obviously I was in attendance. And it also goes to governance, like the Brooklyn Borough President's Office has yet to get a briefing. I did flag that. It wasn't in the meeting notes. I followed up via email. I've yet to get a briefing for our IGA to help with appointments. So just flagging that again. Anita, you have now 2 emails from me and a message. So if we could please get a.
I apologize, Donovan.
All right, thank you. And then
I'll get back to you tomorrow, I promise.
Thank you. And then the second note is in the meeting minutes, we actually don't have the contact info for our presenter, whereas in other meeting minutes, it's been included. And that was something we requested when we were listening to her presentation, if we had follow-up questions, and our office did. So if we can have her contact information provided as well, that'd be super helpful. Thank you.
I thought I had put her email address in the minutes, but yeah, okay, we'll get that.
Thank you so much. That was it.
And she's coming up right now, and she's going to give her presentation.
I will now entertain a motion to accept Ariel's report.
Yes.
Motion to accept.
A motion, Donovan Swanson.
Donovan, thank you. Seconded by?
Eric Taylor.
Miller,
Thank you for the second, Eric. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We will now have a presentation about the Summer Youth Employment Program. It's also an update on what occurred in 2022. Dior Lunsford, who's the Career Ready Program Manager for DYCD Workforce Unit, will now make the presentation.
I don't know if they can see it. 1 second, we're waiting for her presentation to come up. Okay. Come over here. You can see it.
Okay. Hello again, everyone. It is an honor to give you a presentation again. It was lovely speaking to you last time. So again, we're just going to run through the SYP annual summary. I'm going to touch again on the points that you guys found the most useful the last time. And I'm sorry my information hasn't gone out to you yet. It will definitely be coming shortly. Okay. So we're going to start off with the stats. This summer, we had 100,000 participants, 18,000 work sites, 18 million minutes spent on work readiness. So before any participant actually goes to a work site for SYP, they are equipped with 2 work readiness orientations. They have one, which is asynchronous, and we partner with Hats and Ladders for them to receive this service. And the second is led by their provider. Here they cover workplace etiquette, dress code, mental health, and so much more. So New York City's young people with needs. SYP allowed for over 13,000 NYCHA participants, and we had just about 4,700 participants from our Emerging Leaders initiatives. These are participants who are facing some sort of barrier that would be either justice involved, homeless, foster care, or with disabilities. And this is our enrollment breakdown. As you can see, more than half of our program is Black and Brown participants, and the majority of our participants are between the ages of 16 and 19, and the majority of our participants are also female. SYP put a very strong emphasis on connecting schools with jobs. SYP, our school-based model, actually served 21,000 students through 226 NYC high schools. We also introduced a pilot this year where participants would receive both a work-based experience as well as a credit for school. So we're moving right into Ladders for Leaders. Ladders placed over 1,700 high-achieving young people in high-yielding professional internships. In order to be a part of Ladders for Leaders, you do have to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher and previous work experience. So this map just illustrates our community partners. As you can see, we're all over the map. And Staten Island may need a little bit of help, but they're doing an amazing job of holding down the entire borough with just those 3 providers. This year, it was easier than ever to participate. We needed less paperwork from the youth, and our range increased to the age of 24. And for the first time ever, Metro cards were given to our providers to distribute to the participants. And lastly, City Bike. We did offer 2 months of free membership. So SYP, we want to give our participants more than just a traditional work experience. We promote financial literacy and mental health wellness through our work readiness trainings. These topics include stress and burnout, financial literacy, investing, and a wide range of career options. Now to the good stuff, participant responses. So 42% of SYP OD youth participants received an offer to continue employment after the program. 67% of youth indicated developing a new skill as one of their biggest benefits. And 94% of participants enjoyed and would recommend to a friend. So these are just some of the industry sectors that we had this year with SYP. As you can see, we had technology, fashion, healthcare, business, philanthropy, and so much more. SYP offers participants options again, and here you can see we collabed with many city agencies. And we're just going to briefly touch on Mayor Adams' call to action from our fellow city agencies, city council, and public sector members. SYP partnered with 82 different agencies and 29 council members. Sorry. I just want to read the brief quote from Mayor Eric Adams. Our city agencies must be engaged and part of this exposure. I want to walk inside and I want to see the children of my city inside, because interns become employees and those employees start to lead agencies. So that is my spiel on SYP. Are there any questions? Okay, well, like I said earlier, my contact information will be going out. Thank you, everybody.
I have one question. How many of the kids that are employed or retained by some of these entities?
Say again, we didn't hear.
Yeah, hi, this is Gideon Dunkley. My question is, how many of these young leaders who are being employed in the Summer Youth Employment Program are retained by some of these entities that they go to work for?
Yeah, so 42% of our older youth, they received an offer to continue employment.
That's very good statistic. I think that's something that we need to accentuate. Something that we, yes, I'm getting off here. Sorry, I'm on. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. So that is something that I think we should really, expound upon.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, absolutely. This is good news. This is great news for the program.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you for that excellent report. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Were there any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Hi, I'm Kate from Councilmember Stevens' office. My question is around, are there any thoughts or talks about expanding the number of providers? And we had some interns, we also talked to a number of providers, and there was some concerns about capacity with the increased numbers, which is obviously incredible that we have so many more SYP participants. But I was wondering if there are talks about increasing the number of partnerships with organizations.
Yes, so right now we're still on the same RFP. When the new RFPs do go out, then it will give more community partners a chance to partner with DYCD and SYP. So we're just waiting for that, and I'm sure my leadership can follow up with more.
When is that RFP coming out?
So right now we're still working with the RFP from 2018. I'm sorry, right now I can't answer when the next one is going to be coming out, but I can definitely follow up with you.
Thank you.
No problem.
I have one very quick question, which I'm probably Ariel and Susie were thinking the same thing. You used the term, that's my spiel. That's a Jewish word. Where did you pick that up?
I actually had no idea.
She lives in New York City, Chief.
Well, it was an excellent spiel, I must say.
Thank you.
And we will
Lives
now,
in Brooklyn, actually.
Yeah.
okay. So we will now entertain a motion to accept your report / spiel. Motion to accept.
Motion to
Motion to
accept by
accept.
Ariel.
Ariel, thank you. Seconded by
Second by Donovan Swanson.
Donovan. Thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Old business. Just a reminder, as you all see how important it is to achieve quorum. It's the only way that we can officially conduct business. And I thank the DYCD staff for working so diligently to ensure that we achieve quorum. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for DYCD for making it happen. Also, please remember to complete the statement of no conflict of interest. Members must complete a new form every year as required by New York State Department of State. Anita, any new business?
There's no new business. I just want to state it's members and representatives of the elected officials or our private sector. People have to fill out that conflict of interest form every year as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's no new business.
Okay, very good. Our next meeting is scheduled for, Anita?
It's April 20th.
So I look forward to seeing all of you on April 20th. Thank you all for joining and being part of this incredible group. It is now 7:30 p.m. and I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Ariel, thank you for the motion. Seconded by
Second by Donovan Swanson.
Donovan, thank you for the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Have a good evening, everyone. Get home safe.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Gideon.
Thank you, Honorable Herschel. Take care, guys.
Motion to accept has been accepted. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a happy and healthy, wonderful new year.
Everyone have a good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Be well. Thank you.
Good night to all. Thank you again.
Anita.
There we go. Yes, yes. Okay. The stream, okay.